More, Bobby.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Valley Community Church. And good morning to those that are on the internet. We really appreciate you being with us today. We've got a good service for you today, a really, really good service. I've got Wendy Greer is going to be our special music, and then we have, of course, Rick entertaining us on the piano and setting the mood for the whole tempo of the service. And then Pam Woods is going to deliver a powerful message that I'm sure we'll all be happy and be worshipful about. I remind you now, please turn your phones to a mute or silent mode because we don't want to interrupt the service. Now, the first thing we're going to do is stand up and let's sing our opening song.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Before we recite our statement of being and listen to some music, I want to share with you a dream. I'm going to be talking to you about how this church, especially the classes and the teachings, have influenced my spiritual journey. And my job, I consider it my job, since I've joined this church, to hold spiritual relevance. So this is the dream I'm going to tell you about. It's from Genesis. It's familiar. Genesis 28:17. Jacob left Beersheba and set out for Haran. I love going all Old Testament sometimes because the context of these stories and these prophets are just such a steady metaphor for what we do in our life. Jacob interpreted dreams, and Jacob was a wanderer like a lot of people in Bible times were, nomads. So he set out for Haran. The sun set, so he stopped to sleep at a certain place. Personally, I would have stopped before the sun set, but these wandering people, they had their ways. He put a stone under his head and went to sleep. Now, when I heard this when I was a little kid, I kind of lost the story right there. I was just like, what? But it's foreshadowing. He put a stone under his head and he went to sleep. He had a dream of a stairway reaching from earth to heaven. I like to say to the heavens. And there were angels going up and down the stairway. And way up at the top in the sky was this entity who identified itself as God in his dream. And this entity promised Jacob many things. So when I heard that story as a little child, the promises that he was granted, that Jacob was granted, were important to Jacob in that time. He was granted land and legacy. And for a nomad or nomadic people, that was a great gift. I think we take that for granted. Most of us have a little place. We have a little house and we create a little legacy for ourselves. But God gave him this huge legacy. And the stone that he slept on was used as a marker of that special place. And that was the foreshadowing. So I'm going to ask you, as I'm speaking, and maybe as your mind wanders while I'm speaking, mine does sometimes, I'm going to ask you, what would be your treasure trove if you lay down and went to sleep and God manifested himself, or itself, however you want to say it? What would be your great treasure if God was addressing you from the top of the stairs in your dream? So let's say our statement of being together. God is all, both invisible and visible. One presence, one mind, one power is all. This one that is all is perfect life, perfect love, and perfect substance. I am the individualized expression of God, and I am ever one with His perfect life, perfect love, and perfect substance.
With me here, I'm going to do a little motivational piece here, kind of a reminder of what friends are for, what we're here for, being there for one another. Stick with it, no quick fix, you're gonna make it through this. That mountain looks biggest before you start to climb. Keep breathing, you'll see that believing's not a waste. Find Jesus is leading you straight to brighter days. So keep your head up, keep your hopes high, in the best and the bad times, 'cause the night has to happen for the sun to rise. There's no hill without hurting, everyone is still learning. So if you need a shoulder, you can borrow mine. I've been there, I've been scared, got my share of scars. I've made messes, I've learned lessons, and had a broken heart. You know, I didn't make it on my own, so you don't have to walk alone. And if there's one thing I know, you gotta keep your head up, keep your hopes high, in the best and the bad times, 'cause the night has to happen for the sun to rise. There's no heal without hurting, everyone is still learning. So if you need a shoulder, you can borrow mine. If there's no wind inside and you're all out of fight, you can borrow mine. I know I'm not that strong, whatever strength I've got, you can borrow mine. If you're stuck in the night and you need a light, you can borrow mine. I know I'm not a saint, but if I got some faith, you can have it. So keep your head up, keep your hopes high, in the best and the bad times, 'cause the night has to happen for the sun to rise. There's no heal without hurting, everyone is still learning. So if you need a shoulder, you can borrow mine. Stick with it, no quick fix, you're gonna make it through this. That mountain looks biggest before you start to climb.
Thank you, Wendy. The night has to happen. Let's take a moment to go within. Just breathe with me for a little bit here. It's been a tough month. Let's take a deep breath. And let's breathe out everything that hurt this month. Loving God, thank you for feeling us. Thank you for being with us. Loving God, we profoundly thank you for this connection. We thank you for this power of all the different ways people speak to you, think about you, grow you in their hearts. Loving God, we're so grateful for this moment, for this place, this church, this rock where we lay our head and dream of you speaking to us, reminding us that everything is all right. Friends, let's just look inside your open heart for this brief moment and recognize our connection, our spiritual growth, the possibilities of our dreams. And let's listen together for the Christ within us. for our God who is everywhere. Just breathe with me. Loving God, we thank you for the angels going up and down the stairs. We thank you for the angel in front of us and the one that has our back. We thank you for the one on the left and the one on the right. Amen. Let's take a moment to recite our Lord's Prayer, a translation from the language of Jesus. Our God, who is everywhere, remains sacred. Your kingdom is come. Your will is throughout the earth, even as it is throughout the universe. Give us our needful bread from day to day, and forgive us our offenses, even as we forgive our offenders. And lead us not into materialism, but you separate us from error. Because yours is the kingdom, the power, the song of praise, of all ages, throughout all ages, sealed in faith, trust, and truth. Amen. It has been a rough month, I think. It has been for me. And I have been doing things that remind me of dreams. My son had a birthday, so usually I flip through old pictures, childhood pictures, and I send him a few just to remind him that I've known him all his life. I didn't do that. I looked at the pictures, but they just made me tearful. Maybe it's because I lost my brother. I don't know. I just kept it to myself. It was a very dreamlike experience. And when I started to conceive of this message, it really came to me that when we're not careful, we just exist. It's easy. We can get excited by some new plants to put in the ground, or what's for dinner, or where's my other sock, or it's just a kind of existence if we're not careful. I just finished the meditation class, and there were some things that came up when we were considering personal meditation styles and experimenting with different ways to connect through that way. And I'm going to get back to that in a minute, but I'm going to do a little personal backstory first. Can we show my picture? I don't know if you can, online you probably can't see this, but this is a romanticized etching from an illustrated Bible about Jacob's dream. And I remember seeing this when I was a child, and all these kinds of pictures of Bible stories were very meaningful to me, because a lot of Bible stories, to me, even as a child and later as a young adult, they were too fantastic to really understand. Like I said, when we talked about the rock under his head, I was just baffled. I have always thought that it was very convenient that Jacob wanders around in his bed linen so he can sleep wherever he wants. But this ethereal ladder with these angels going up and down was extremely powerful image for me. And when I'm socializing with some of my friends at church, I have said, and I've said from the pulpit before, these kinds of pictures, along with Sunday school teachers telling me that this was where your heart should be, this is the truth, this is the way, I would literally go outside on a fluffy, cloudy day, and I would get my little friends, and I would say, you look over there, you look over there, we're going to wait for God. And I was in charge. I'm a big sister, so what you're looking for is a ladder to heaven, or maybe a big hand is just going to come out and get you. And if nothing happened, we would switch to Godzilla or World War II Nazis coming over the horizon. But these things were very real to me as a child. And I don't know if you had that same experience or if that's even relevant to you. But these Old Testament prophets that interpreted dreams were especially interesting to me as an adult when I learned in class that that's the way people used to communicate with God. It was commonplace. Those guys dreamt and interpreted dreams, and they disseminated important biblical information in many books in the Bible. And we use that information today. In some of my most stressful, complicated eras of my own life, I began to receive profound instructions from dreams. As a young woman, I was very impressed by books that helped nurture me out of my atheism, books by Joseph Campbell or Clarissa Pinkola Estes or Oliver Sacks and Neuroplasticity of the Brain. One of my favorite things about this church is we're allowed to think about these things and run these ideas in parallel with our spiritual development. These are not contrary concepts. And I love how we're allowed to explore our personal experiences and scientific nuances with our spiritual inquest. There's not too many churches where this testimony would be accepted. I took Jungian archetypes very serious when I was struggling. I went through some times in my life that were just very dark. It wasn't about the interesting words or the ideas, but because my life was so dark, I actually used these ideas. They were operative for me. But to the point of dreams, let me lay out a simple guide from my personal experience I've been thinking about this lately because my dreams are foggy and vague. They're coming back to me, but it takes practice. And there were some things that I used to use to help my children and my friends and myself. Jung said that water in a dream could represent consciousness. So if you had a dream that was specifically or blatantly water related, you could interpret your dream or work on your dream with a knowledge that you were working on your consciousness, with a collective unconscious that we all share. But if you live in a desert or on a houseboat, water also has very different meaning for you. So you might have to include what that is when you're thinking about your dreams. If your dream is in a building with a roof, in a collective unconscious way, it is said you are dreaming in your mind, of what's in your mind. If the roof goes away, there's a spiritual awakening. The building that you're dreaming of also, just like water, might have special meaning for you. Maybe you're dreaming of your grandmother's house or church, special buildings. My dreams at my darkest moments were able to talk to me about where I was, because maybe there's been times in your life where you're not sure where you are. And these days, I think the world is poking at us in ways that encourage that. So I want to tell you about a decision I had to make when I was in my 40s. And it was a decision that could conceivably make me homeless, and it did. It was a decision that isolated me from my family and my friends, which for a little while it did. But I'm going to suggest, maybe not that black, but maybe you all have had in your life a time when you knew you were going to do something, and it probably wasn't the best idea, but you knew you were going to do it. And I think that's where courage comes from. And if I could talk to myself from hindsight, I would tell myself, you have to have courage. But I had a dream that I was in a cabin with built-in bunk beds, and I was sharing it with a little black boy in white clothes. And after getting tangled up and creating a narrative in my dream, I realized I was dreaming. And I asked the little boy, "What do you want with me? What do you want me to do?" And he ran outside. And I followed him. And when I got outside, I realized that the house we were in was my house, my actual real house. But the vision of that house in my dream was impoverished and scary and dark. And when I came out of my house following this little boy, he turned around to me and he presented himself as a little red-haired girl. And she handed me a flower. And I woke up. And I knew that I was going to do what I thought I was going to do. And I carried that dream and others like it during that time that actually guided me through some very dark times Because now, from this perspective, I believe that that was one of my first steps in really knowing God, not believing in God, but knowing God. So, thought about all that, and I wrote some notes, and I thought, especially if somebody's listening on the internet for the first time, what are they going to even think? So, I don't want to get too woo-woo. I don't want to bore anyone. I'm going to bring this message to children's television, where we can all feel safe. I don't know how many of you raised your children or are aware of this adorable little show. It's still running, called Blue's Clues. It was a formulaic little show. The main characters were a young man and his puppy. And one of the things that would always happen in every show was Blue would be having problems. And Steve, the young man, would ask Blue what the problem was. And these were kid problems, little things like about sharing or bullying or feeling sad or just things that you might help children overcome. In this particular show, I was stunned when Blue's problem was a recurring nightmare. This little puppy told Steve that he was afraid to go to sleep. He had a recurring nightmare. And part of the show, when Blue had a problem, was Steve and Blue would find clues. That's why it's called Blue's Clues. And these clues would help him solve his problem. And when the show was over, the possibility of gestalt was there for you. So, at the end of this show, Blue, the little puppy, had learned that if he had that nightmare again, if he had those familiar feelings, the fear, that character, the storm, whatever that it was in that nightmare, if you have that nightmare again, you turn to that protagonist and you tell him you're in charge. Go away. And they illustrated it in the show, and Blue was able to sleep, and he was able to change his dream to a better dream. And I thought, wow, public television is teaching lucid dreaming to kindergartners. It might be real. So it always was for me. I did think it was a very odd subject for a children's program, but with the support of television, I taught my children to lucid dream. They had a little bit of a tougher upbringing, just coming from a separated family like they did. And I taught my children how to recognize the tells that are in a dream that can maybe help you in the poker game of life. Ask the protagonist in your dream what they want, and they will tell you. And it's conceivable that you could wake up with an answer. I believe the answer could be from God. It doesn't have to be a recurring nightmare. In dreaming, you can receive direct information from whatever's bothering you in your dream. Sometimes they answer by changing shape, and you have to interpret it. I don't know how many of you have ever woken up and thought, well, I dreamed of my grandmother. I love being back with her. But the last image in your head is of a talking bear. So, what does a bear mean in the Jungian collective unconscious? There is a meaning there. So there's all these animals have symbols. But what does a bear mean to you? that feeling, those symbols, your connection to God, God sending you information, has real value. So let me get back to the meditation styles that we were talking about earlier. I discovered when taking this class that I like to personally begin a meditation with a little mantra that's just I am. I like to have that in my head, in my heart, in my body, and I begin to feel connected to God. I discovered basically through that especially before I go to bed, which is a tangled time, especially these days, maybe it's all the deaths I've experienced, maybe it's how I feel about how things are going in the world. I feel like my end of the day prayer, my favorite thing to start with is to say, thank you for my dream. It could be, you could use that as a metaphor. Thank you for my dream. Thank you for this idea that I may have a goal that I can reach. That's very valuable. But for me, thank you for my dream is a prayer that's not it's in the no begging Aramaic habit of praying in the moment right now. Thank you for my dream. I'm going to have a dream, and thank you for it. Because I'm trying to get back to that profound connection. I really want more than to believe in God. I think it would be more valuable to know God. And it requires some work. It does in my case. Kant, the philosopher, kind of famously suggested that there were three things that he wanted to believe in but couldn't prove, and they're all so tied up in the same kind of message. Kant couldn't prove that God existed. For whatever he was looking at. Some people look at situations like this. I can only see Amy Jo. That's all there is. And some people see more things. So Kant couldn't prove that God existed, and it bothered him. He couldn't prove immortality, and that bothered him. And the big philosophical question that most philosophers of this day were concerned with was free will, which I think in the 20th century, at least to me, at least from my observation, the idea of free will has been sort of monetized into willpower, which is some kind of trendy little box that nobody can get their mail out of. What is willpower? These things, for us in this church, are reachable, believable, and knowable. And I hope that by my sharing this with you, that you could consider that a tool in your toolbox, and that we will have a more meaningful spiritual development. So I guess I just might ask, when you're going home and thinking about your morning, I would just ask you what you might be dreaming about at the bottom of your stairway. I think we can all advance from believing in God to knowing God. I will confess that I say I know God, but I'm trying to know God, and sometimes I'm not sure. So I just say, thank you for my dream. And that's all I really have to say on the subject.
It's been a tough month, couple of tough months. So I'm going to dedicate this next song to my mother, speaking of tough months, and trying to channel it through Aunt Lucy Jane, her aunt, my great aunt. Aunt Lucy Jane said at age 83, write scripture on your heart for when you need it. 'Cause anxiety hates Psalm 23. So just say it to yourself till you believe it. And I'm feeling like I'm needing it right now. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He leads me by still waters till my fears are gone. Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, oh, I know you are with me, my Father, my friend. Your goodness and mercy will follow me all of my days. I know by your still waters I'm safe. Lord, I believe you can set me at ease. Turn this broken piece of me to peace and quiet. I know there's power in your words. So I'll say it over and over till my soul's reminded. Oh, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He leads me by still waters till my fears are gone. Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, oh, I know you are with me, my Father, my friend. Your goodness and mercy will follow me all of my days. I know by your still waters I'm safe. Still waters run through any valley I could find. I'm laying fear down here on heaven's riverside. Your word has been true in every season of my life. I believe, oh, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He leads me by still waters till my fears are gone. Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, oh, I know you are with me, my Father, my friend. Your goodness and mercy will follow safe.
Thank you, Wendy. No, you didn't. In a moment, we'll do the blessing of the gifts. That being said, I'm grateful for everybody here and all that they do. Say this together. Today, I acknowledge God, omnipresent, as the source of all good, as the source of my good. With this acknowledgement, I accept God's will, which is abundance in every aspect of my life. I release all thoughts of lack and limitation, and I'm open and receptive to the increased flow of abundance to me right now. I joyfully accept the gifts of life and give freely of the special gift that I am. Through me, God omnipresent, blesses and multiplies this gift for all. Thank you, dear God. Dan?
Good morning. I think Ann had something to say.
Yeah, I want to tell everybody thank you for coming out yesterday and all your help. The ministers did a beautiful job. Laurel's friends were here, her family was here. Church was packed, pretty much, and all the people that cleaned up and helped out and did things, I appreciate it. Rick's music, he did Laurel proud, and I'm really thankful to all
We're
of you.
smiling at him for sure.
That's it.
Okay. And I want to add my thanks to everybody that helped and showed up, and just so much, there's so much work that needs to be done at times like this. And so we thank everybody for what they did. So very, very grateful for that. The flowers today are left from yesterday, so feel free to take some of them home with you to remind you of Laurel, among other things that will remind you of her. So please take those. Coming up on September the 11th is your class, starting at 6:15. So if you have any questions or you need to sign up or talk to Doug about that, see him after church. Coming up also, we've talked in October, we have a gentleman coming from Tennessee that's going to be speaking. We are in the process of looking for a part-time minister. Marita wants to have more fun and start. She's just wants to teach a little more and whatever. So anyhow, we're looking for another minister, and so he will be here in October. So we're going to be getting some information out about him. So I ask that everybody please show up when he comes to speak and keep an open mind for how he speaks and how he acts and so forth. So anyhow, that'll be coming up. We have more information about that. Also, as you know, we will be looking for a treasurer in the months coming. Right now, the board is taking care of the finances, so all the bills are paid and all that. So we will be doing that, but going forth, we will be looking for a treasurer. So just to let you know that's happening. Other than that, we don't have anything else. There's a song out there these days that talks about the hard times and about that people are just barely hanging on, and that I'm not the only one. So it ends with everything's going to be okay. So just keep that in mind, because there's a lot of people out there struggling with things, and just want people to know that you're not the only one that's going through things. So, but everything will be okay. God's going to take care of us. Let's see.
Thank you, Jan. That's right. And that's why we're going to have this final prayer before we sing our last joy song. And we're going to pray for our world. So let's just go with him. Let's just close your eyes again. I want you to imagine things that are going on. Actually, there's things going on you can't imagine. Civil war, famine, humanitarian catastrophes, hate, bigotry. But we're going to take a deep breath together, and we are going to be the peacekeepers. We are going to be the protectors. Loving God, we thank you that you are the light and you surround the suffering. We are so grateful that your love enfolds the afflicted. We embrace your power, which protects the fearful, and your presence in everything and watching over all. We are so thankful for your mind, which can be our mind, is there to guide, and that God life flows through all situations, and the laws of God direct. Thank you, loving God, that your peace abides for all, and that joy is available to uplift the downtrodden. The strength of God we send out to renew. The beauty of God we send out to inspire better things. My dearest ones, my fellow humans, wherever you are, God is, and all is well. Amen. Let's stand together and let's sing our last joy song.